Okay, welcome to the May 11th Thursday chat. And we have just a short list of announcements before we get to Matt. So first, Bob Brown.
Thank you, Jerry. Most of the listeners here have already contributed to the Appreciation Fund. And I, on behalf of the Appreciation Fund Committee, want to thank you all for your generosity. But we're coming to the end of the period of collection by this weekend. And I want to remind the small group who haven't yet contributed to do so by then. I think that our employees are well deserving. I just want to remind everyone that we don't allow tipping at Newbridge. And if you do the calculations, you can see that the amount of the recommended donation of $400 a person or $800 a couple, while it seems like a lot, is actually less than you would tip on just the amount of food bills to wait people, and that doesn't count for our drivers and maintenance people and cleaners. So I would hope that in these last few days, those that have waited until now will give as generously as they can to our deserving staff, at least within your financial means. And we on the committee thank you for doing so.
Okay, thanks, Bob. And so Larissa Levitch.
Oh, good. Wow, it was quick. Okay. So sorry. So I actually, you're like really fortunate to be reminded that next week we have a number of programs that I highly recommend you to join. First of all, two very interesting lectures. On Monday, we will be welcoming the professor of Boston College. He wrote a book that I learned through his interview on NPR radio and reached out to him. The name of the book is Nazi of Copley Square, The Forgotten Story of the Christian Front. I started reading the book. I found it very, very interesting. This is a story that I've never heard about. Maybe you know better, but I hope you will find it interesting, especially coming from the Boston College professor, really very good scholar. So, and then on Wednesday, we have another talk that was recommended by Mitch Freeman, and we are going to be hosting our own, a clinician from our own Marcus Research Institute to talk about dementia in a way that how we recognize healthy aging, how we differentiate healthy aging and dementia. So I hope he's really a good expert. So I hope you will find this useful, interesting, and join. And then two concerts, two very different concerts. So on Tuesday, we welcome one of the local chamber ensembles, Capella Clausura. Their sort of goal is promote women musicians and women composers of the past. And they're going to do a multimedia program with art and music, highlighting the Renaissance women composers. So the name of the program, Renaissance Portraits, should be really very, very interesting. The program is going to be almost 90-minute program. So I'm going to start it at 7:30. And then on Thursday, I'm super excited to welcome a bluegrass klezmer fusion group. Young, talented, amazing professional musicians. You might recognize one those of you who like Sandy Ridge Boys, remember that it was Sophia and Sandy Ridge Boys. Guess what? Sophia now is a part of this ensemble, and I hope you will check all these programs and enjoy at least some of them. Thank you so much.
Okay. And now Jessica Coleman.
Jerry, I think Sylvia has her hand up first.
Oh, Sylvia, go ahead.
Yes, Larissa, what is the name of the professor for your first Monday lecture?
Thank you so much. Give me 1 second. So his name is Charles Gallagher.
Thank you.
Yeah, and his book was really getting great reviews and interviews through public radio.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Jessica.
All right, thank you, Jerry. I just wanted to remind everybody that we have our COVID booster clinic on May 25th. It's going to be in the aerobics studio. As of now, all of you have had a form put in your mailbox. I took a walk there earlier and I still see some people's forms are still in their mailbox. So if you haven't looked yet, they're still there. The forms need to be filled out and given to Joe at the concierge desk by the 17th of this month. As of right now, we already have over 150 residents signed up, so that is amazing. But I just wanted to give another reminder. So as of before next week, fill out your form and give it to Joe so that we can give you a time spot. On May 22nd, everyone's going to get a little card in their mailbox that's going to have the time of their appointment. So if you guys have any questions about that, you can give Joe a call, but they'll be there by Monday, May 22nd.
Let's see if there are any questions now. No, don't see any. Thank you, Jessica. So I guess did you have anything else that you were?
No, just wanted to remind about the booster clinic.
Okay, so thank you. So Matt, Ron.
All right. Hello, everyone. I guess sometimes there's a lot to share and sometimes there's a little, but that's okay. I hope everybody is doing well. This week is Employee Week here at Newbridge. So if you see all sorts of buzz happening, once a year, we spend an entire week celebrating our employees. There's a big cookout happening right now. I just finished serving some burgers and I'm coming in tonight during the overnight shift to serve to our overnight teams as well. So it's a lot of fun. Everybody says, well, that's terrible. You have to come in during the overnight, but you know what? It's one day a year and it means so much to the employees, and those employees during the overnight hours, they're the ones that let me sleep. So I'm happy to come in and do it. And it just means a lot to them. So when you see our employees and along with the message from Bob Brown, say thank you. If you have an opportunity to show your appreciation through the Appreciation Fund, please do so. It goes a long way. What makes Newbridge so special, it's not just the beautiful landscape and all of you, but it's our employees. They do an incredible job bringing the service forward. So any chance you can say thank you, that would mean a lot, not only to me, but I think to your fellow residents. COVID-19, the topic that never, ever, ever seems to go away. We're doing great. We don't have any cases here right now, which is terrific. Let's keep it that way. The Commonwealth is doing incredibly well, and our county is doing incredibly well. The numbers continue to decline, so the risk right now is very low. And with that being said, the public health emergency in the state of Massachusetts has been lifted, effective, I believe, today, which means starting tomorrow in our healthcare centers here at Hebrew Senior Life, masking will no longer be required. Okay. The only way it'll be required is if you are positive for COVID-19, have been exposed to somebody with COVID-19, are not feeling well, or have something going on for any reason. Otherwise, for all intents and purposes, masking is not required in the healthcare center. I anticipate this to also be the case in assisted living. However, the Executive Office of Elder Affairs has yet to come out and say this. And that's not abnormal. Usually they communicate in the 11th hour. So I expect tomorrow about 4:30 in the afternoon, they'll send a notice to Rhonda Gleiman, our executive director, that says masking is no longer required in assisted So with that being said, I'm going to say what I always say. It is up to you and your own risk tolerance to protect yourself as you see fit. So if you're immunocompromised, or you're just a little nervous about coronavirus or just anything like that, you can always mask. It is still encouraged, and we're still going to encourage our employees to mask. However, let's be honest, the likelihood of the masking is probably fairly limited unless they're not feeling well. So I ask all of us to take this seriously and identify our own risk tolerance. Jessica just spoke about the vaccination clinic. 150 people signed up. That is a lot of people. So it sounds like everybody's doing their best to stay on top of it. So thank you very much. Any questions about COVID before I move on? Because there usually is, even though we talk about it a lot, there's a lot of moving pieces there.
Don't see anybody.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. So I think everyone recalls we did this amazing LED lighting project throughout independent living. And now all the lights are the same lights, which is really cool looking. And we're saving a ton of energy, and we're even saving money. So that's been going really well. In fact, that's going so well that we just signed a contract, and we're going to be doing the same project in the healthcare center and in assisted living. So for us data nerds that love to talk about kilowatt hours and things like that, this project alone, just in the healthcare center, is going to save us about 250,000 kilowatt hours of electricity, which equates to about $50,000 a year of usage. The return on the investment of that project is about, I think it's about 11 months. And so we're going to be kicking off that project, which I'm really excited about. It's another wonderful green initiative. It's an opportunity for us to reduce our carbon footprint. Makes good financial sense. And LED light bulbs, they just last way longer than the other kind of light bulbs. So it makes sense on all fronts. So that project is going to be beginning soon. Like I said, the contract was just signed, and there's wonderful incentives from the state and the federal government to offset the cost of doing this. So I see a couple hands raised. So I'm gonna pause.
So Dean Marchbine first, and then Terry. And then Faye. you wanted to-
So Matt, this is great. There have been some recent studies on the impact of the brightness of LED lights on migrating birds and other animals. And apparently it's pretty easy to turn down the brightness.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you've given any consideration to doing that. Over.
So we haven't given consideration, Dean, to turning down the brightness for the sake of wildlife. Be quite honest with you, this is the first time I'm hearing it. However, you will be happy to know that the lighting that we have here has the capability of being turned down. I'm not sure how labor intensive it is to do it, but it's certainly something we can explore further. But the good news is we could do it.
Okay,
And
Terry,
this
you,
is- and just to expand a little bit more, this is primarily interior lighting.
okay. Terry Union. You're muted, Terry.
So
I took care of it. Go ahead. You're all set.
So this has nothing to do with the reason I raised my hand, but just to comment on the discussion you just had. I'm glad that it's indoor because the outdoor lighting at night is it's not as efficient as I would like it to be. When I'm driving from the 5,000 building back to my cottage, it's pretty dark, even with the headlights on my car. So I don't know if anybody else has that problem. Maybe it's my eyes. The other thing I wanted to ask you was about the program to recognize employees. People voted. When will that be announced?
Terry, two awesome things. The first one is the lighting on the exterior. I can have a conversation with Fernando about that. We try to usually do the relamping of those all at the same time because we utilize an outside company to do it. And it just makes a lot more sense to do multiples at one time as opposed to having them come in and get the bucket
Sure.
truck and go through it. So I can talk to him about that and see what that looks like. I'm not sure what's up there now. So a little research on my part will go a long way. And then in terms of the employee program, we voted, so we got 50 unique cards recognizing employees. Many of them, I think about 35, were from residents. We went through them all. We're not going to announce the winner until I think it's the July town hall. And we're going to do 3 months at that one time. And the reason why we're not meeting until July is because we're going to be meeting in person. So we're trying to get everybody to Great Meadow Hall, and we're going to celebrate them those 3 months at that time. So what we're going to do is quarterly, we'll be celebrating them. And they'll get a $300 gift card. And every single person who has been nominated is going to get a card from their boss saying, thank you very much for all you do, with the recognition card that either the employee or the resident filled out, plus a cupcake. So there'll be recognition for every person. And then there'll be $300 gift, basically a gift card for the winner for each month. And when I announce the winners to the employees, I'll share with you right after, so you know right away. And we'll put it up on the boards as well, so we'll celebrate them.
Yeah, so there's a note for, on the chat about the fact that there is one missing light by the access road, which the comment was by Sid that it makes it look even darker.
Correct. That light has been ordered and it's on back order.
Oh,
I don't know what else to say. That's our world these days. Once it's in, it'll go up. It's better though than the red fish bucket that was flipped over on it. I will tell you that. That was not very appealing.
Marlene, go ahead.
I have a question about nominating the employees. Is it hourly employees? Could you nominate the bosses as well?
You can nominate the bosses as well. Now, I will say this. The directors won't be eligible to win, but they will be eligible for the recognition. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
thank you, Marlene. Great question.
Faye, Sandy August, go ahead. You're muted. I'll unmute you. Go ahead.
I want to say that I went to that car fit and there weren't many people there, but I thought it was the most worthwhile thing. And there was nothing in my car that I did right. So they really set me straight. And I would never have known without them. The seat was too close and there were a list of things. So if you have a chance to go next time, go, because they were wonderful and they did a very thorough job. That's one. Number two, it is very dark here in the cottages. There's no way I could ever drive at night. It's so dark.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate the feedback. And I just want to let you know, the car fit folks were booked all day long.
Oh, so when I was there,
Yeah.
there's nobody there.
Yeah, so they said they were booked all day long, which I was really happy to hear. And we'll continue to offer it annually.
It's so amazing.
Thanks,
Thank
Phyllis Hirsch.
There has been someone who comes onto this chat who deals with sharing equipment and wanted to know if anybody had any equipment that they could share. And I have not been, and I do, but I have not been able to figure out who that person was to contact.
Okay.
Phyllis, it was a resident. Oh, okay.
Betsy Weissel is the person and she's raising her hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am the person that you contact. So if you have something you want to share, if you get in touch with me, there are there's a tear off sheet down near the mailbox with my phone number on it. You can also look me up and call me. I'm in Florida now, but I will be returning on Tuesday. And it's a short-term loan. If you have something to borrow that you would like to borrow, I have a list of that too. It's a short-term loan and I'm just the clearinghouse. It's done between the two residents.
Good. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yep.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Carol
That's the safe
Klingon.
travels.
Is Matt done with his
Thank you.
report? Because I have a question for him that hasn't been mentioned yet.
I'm not done yet.
Oh,
Okay.
shall I wait?
Go back. Yeah. Well, go ahead. Throw it
Okay.
in.
Yeah, surprise me.
Take another one.
Monday morning, I walked out of my cottage to discover that the front walk had been roped off by people, and I tracked them down, and it turned out to be people who were working on the brick and the slate. I don't believe we were ever told anything about that. What they're doing there, how long they're gonna be there. They're very nice. They're still here in our pod. And I can look out my window to where they park their truck a block away. And they are spending an inordinate amount of time taking a wheelbarrow full of cement that block and a half. So it seems to me that maybe we should know about that, and maybe somebody should look to tell us, could they park inside? I don't know anything about it, but it's a little odd.
So I know that they are working on the walkways, as evidenced by what we've seen them do. I'm not sure about the communication. I'll have to follow up with Fernando and Sarah to see what the communication looked like on that. This group of individuals, they're masons, they're part of AQPS has hired them to take care of the walks and get them leveled out. Over the years, there's been some shifting that has happened there. And so that's the resolution to that project. So I'll follow up. Carol, thanks for letting me know. Communication is one of those things that so incredibly important, and we got to keep working on. So,
That was my career, so I won't disagree with you.
so if, you know, from me to you, if it's caused any inconvenience, I apologize.
It's just not something you expect when you open your door.
No,
And-
nice
And then I'm
surprise. though.
wondering about how, they're very nice, but how efficiently they're being managed.
Yeah. Well,
So
that I
before we
don't know
get
either.
back to you, Matt, let's just, Faye, you wanted to comment on,
So there are 4 squares on that we don't know who the people are. There's one that's Zoom user, one says iPad, and 2 phone numbers. And I would like to have people identify themselves and maybe let us know if you just have a phone number or a anonymous something, so we know who is on the Zoom.
we have to watch out for Zoom bombers, which were very prevalent at the very beginning of the Zoom time. And so if I was aware of it and there's somebody unidentified, I would take them off. So all of you who are unidentified, if you would identify yourselves, I would appreciate it. And
this is Charlotte Chase. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's
my
2691
name-
Charlotte. Okay,
well,
Okay, so
it's Charlotte Chase.
there are three others. Announce yourselves.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, I came in late and I'm just looking and noticing that my name isn't even showing up.
It is now.
Your name is showing up.
Well,
There's somebody with a telephone number that ends in 9083.
no, that's not me.
Okay.
My name.
Who is it?
Okay,
And
well,
then there's one that says Zoom user and one that says iPad.
so starting next week, we will not allow you to stay in. If I drop you out now, you won't be able to get back in.
Well, the problem is if you
Okay,
come in late, your name doesn't show up.
That's not true.
Well, that's, can you see my name? Because I can't. see it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Probably on the third screen.
All right, we've covered enough of it now. We'll get back to you, Matt, but
All right, thank
we
you very
will
much.
have to police that.
Carol, one last thing just to share. They're paid by the job, so, you know, they've got to get the job done. We're not paying by the minute or hour, so that's one saving grace with their mismanagement. As long as the work looks nice and they are working.
I'm really sorry for them.
Yeah, I feel
in
sorry
that
for them too.
cement as far as they are.
Yeah. Any day now, we're expecting our new electric vehicle, the Tesla Model Y, to be used for livery purposes. We're very excited about it. It'll be bright red. So when it comes to pick you up, look for the bright red electric vehicle. And we expect that to be here any day, which is great. Also, and I'm sorry to bring this up because I bet most of us forgot, we have a temporary transformer here on site that is powering the community building. The permanent transformer is set to be installed on May 24th. There'll be more information coming out with a frequently asked question that'll go through what you can expect when the actual transformer is put in place, the permanent one. But it will affect the community center for the day. So stand by for more information. We've put this project off for a while, waiting for the ideal weather where we didn't have to heat and we didn't have to cool. So let's cross our fingers and hope for great weather on May 24th. But my luck, it's probably going to be the ice age on May 24th. So we'll see what happens. But that'll be nice to finally get that done, because we've had this temporary one on site that we've been renting for quite some time. And then I also want to mention that we are in the middle of the Villa life cycle renovation. I mentioned this last week, and I figure I'd just give an update so everybody knows where we are on this project. Right now, the 1,000 building's been painted, and the rugs are in the process of being installed, which is terrific. The 2,000 building, the painting is in process, and tomorrow we'll have a date for when the carpet installation begins over there. So the process and the project is moving along nicely. And that's it from my corner of the world. There's a lot of large projects happening right now here on the campus. And my head is spinning, but it's good because we're making the campus better. And that's all we can ask for.
So we have Terry Union and then Anna Marcus and then Bonnie Rosenberg. Go
So
ahead.
just a follow-up question, since you brought it up. When will you be, first of all, I'm so excited that you're getting electric vehicles here on the campus for, use by, for transportation for us. But also, when are you going to be installing the electric outlets for electric vehicles?
Great question.
Transformers, yeah, for
Terry-
for people who live here.
So we're working with a company called New Wave, and New Wave is the same company that is doing the LED lighting project. And they are experts in working with the state and federal governments in getting funding for this project. And the infrastructure bill actually will pay for a very large chunk of the installation of the charging stations.
Right.
However, to get that money from the feds and the state, you have to go through your local utility. So we're working with the local utility and New Wave to do all the paperwork and documentation, which we've done. Then you submit it, you go through the process, the engineers come out, they do the layout, then they basically check the final box and the work begins. So it's going to happen, it's in process, but I'm waiting on the engineers and the local utility to do all the final sign-offs. We'll have chargers in the garage.
Yeah.
We're going to start there, focus on the resident needs, and then we'll bring chargers to the surface and put them in as many lots as we can. And they will be level 2 chargers, and each charger will have 2 charging ports.
You'll put them in the cottages?
Good question. It'll probably be up in the parking circle somewhere around here. We'll start there, around the campus. It comes down to the closest place to tie in for metering. If there's a desire to have one up in the cottages, because I think in the cottages, a lot of you can just put in actual charging stations right in your garages.
Yeah, I have one, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to focus in the areas that the access doesn't even exist.
Okay, thanks. Good
Sure.
job.
Thank you.
Okay, Bonnie Rosenberg.
Bonnie, you're muted.
Oh, I thought I took it off. I'm not muted.
Okay, now go
Not
ahead.
muted.
I had unmuted, so it didn't work. As a resident of the 1,000 building, it's a shout out and kudos. It has been a joy to be part of the renovation and to see how quickly and how carefully they are doing it and how beautifully it is looking. So thank you so much.
It is our pleasure, and a big shout out to Fernando. There is a tremendous amount of planning that went into that, as well as the architects at Perkins Eastman, and of course, Peter Halfon and the design committee. Thank you.
Okay, Marlene.
I hope people have seen that the scholarship awards ceremony was changed. It's going to be Friday, June 16th at 2 o'clock. So looking forward to seeing you all there.
And Marlene, thanks for changing it. I'm sorry that I wasn't available on the previous date.
That's okay. Anything for you, Matt. Well, maybe.
I'll be at a conference, which, you know, those are hit or miss, so we'll see.
Okay, Barbara Nadish and then Ryan Drebin.
Matt, a while ago, you mentioned that there was a contract signed for solar heating. Is
Yep.
there any progress on that, or where does it stand? at
Yeah, the
this point?
progress is that the engineers from Resonant Energy have come in the building, they've walked the building, they've sketched out all the data, all the electrical closets. They're trying to identify right now, how do you tie in solar within the buildings instead of going out to the main street? Because if they were to have to trench all the way to the main service, which is at the entryway, it'd be a mess. It would be an absolute mess. So we're trying to avoid that. And they're trying to avoid that because it would be very costly on their part. And so then all of a sudden, this deal doesn't look so good. So I haven't lost hope at all. It looks still very doable, but it's a little more complicated. So we got to make sure that we do this thing absolutely perfectly on paper. So when we go to actually do it, it'll work the way we need it to. So still in process, but a slow moving process.
Okay, second question. Food Plus or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
What's happening with that? And is there any update on that?
Well, that's a whole separate meeting in itself, Barbara.
Oh, well, go for it. Yeah,
No,
what's
So we meet with them tomorrow. So we're kind of, we got pretty deep into this, particularly in the space of Centro, and we've made a lot of behind the scenes changes in terms of operations and process, coming up with consistent menu recipe books, nutritional information, data entry, and it goes so deep. It goes all the way from how does food get prepared in the main kitchen to how does it travel all the way to Centro? How is it finished in Centro? How was the food quality being checked? I mean, the list goes on and on. So there's all these things I could bore you all with all day long about operations behind the scene. So we've done a lot of that stuff. But in doing that stuff, it has become evident that the need and the desire to put some effort into Nosh has really jumped up in front of our face in a big way. So I'm meeting with Third Plus tomorrow. And the big reason for the meeting tomorrow is to put the emphasis on Nosh. Because quite frankly, even though we don't have Centro exactly where we want it to be, it's functioning a lot better than it has in a long time. Nosh needs the attention. So we're working with Third Plus tomorrow. We're revamping basically their commitment to us, and they're going to help us really work on Nosh. In the meantime, we've been meeting as a team to identify, you know, how do we elevate the experience in Nosh right now and not wait for Third Plus? Because what I don't want to happen, I don't want us sitting here waiting for somebody else to tell us what to do. We know what to do. We just have to do it. And at the same time, if Third Plus comes along and says, kudos, you did a great job, or have you thought of this? Then we'll do that. But we can't sit by and watch and admire the problem. So we're switching gears right now. So if you hear us talking a lot about Nosh, 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 it's very deliberate. We have not forgotten Centro. We just have to really put some effort in there. And then at the same time, we have to look at space and layout and kitchen equipment and design and identify, if not a short-term, a long-term plan to fix it, because having a main kitchen a half a mile away from your dining venue is very hard. Having a finishing kitchen in Centro, as opposed to a holding kitchen and a prep kitchen that you can put the food directly out, is very hard. Having a deli operating as a full service kitchen with a sit-down dining service is very hard. The way we're using these spaces right now is not how they were initially designed. So we have to solve for that in the long run as well. So that was a very long-winded response, but I hope it gives you a little bit of flavor about what's going on in the discussions that are happening. It's a massive undertaking. But at the same time, I'll be quite honest with you, it's exciting. It's a lot of fun to be able to dig into real problems and hopefully affect real change.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ryan Drebin.
Is it possible to have the LED bulbs for us in our apartments?
Good question. Well, I don't know. if they were for you in your apartments, do we supply the bulbs now? I don't even know the answer. to
No,
that.
we pay for them.
Okay, so is it possible to have bulbs and to have the residents pay for them? Possibly. I have to ask. I don't know, Raya. It's a good question. But it certainly would be convenient.
Also, and this is a silly question I should know the answer to. I pressed reactions and I wanted to get my hand up and it says lower hand. How do I get my hand up?
Your hand is up, so that's why it says lower hand.
Oh, okay. All right.
So press lower hand and it will disappear. Right now, you're in my view in the upper
see.
left-hand corner position. So Judy Goldman and then Maya. You have to unmute, Judy.
Okay, sorry. Matt, I truly appreciate your giving a lot of thought to NUSH. It's needed it for years. However, the reservation problem in Centro is as bad as it had been for the past, since we've opened, since we've opened after COVID. You have Copper Beach, and I think they're getting a good turnout there. We were there the other night and every seat was taken. Some of us wait until the menu comes out on Friday and can't get reservations for that following week because people have made reservations not knowing what the menu was going to be. And those of us who do wait are denied reservations. I'm doing takeout tonight because I want lamb chops. And the minute the menus came out, I got online and I could not get a reservation. What is being done about that?
So Judy, there's a couple things going on. We're monitoring the reservation system. And, you know, I hear this complaint, not as much as I did, not nearly as much as I did, but a lot of people want a specific time that's not available. And that poses a bit of a challenge. I mean, even a restaurant, we only have 100, 110 seats max. So if everybody wants to eat 5:30 to 6:30, that's tough to do that seating. So we have to do earlier seatings and potentially later seatings as well.
Mm-hmm.
The long-term plan is to make Nosh such a desirable place that it takes the pressure out of Centro and to create a space in the pub where somebody can get pub food, take the pressure out of Centro, to create a grab and go where Treats is, take the pressure out of Centro. The solution to Centro is truly to create other dining opportunities around the campus that are equally as exciting.
That's not answering my question. I'm asking about if we have a specific night and would eat at 5 o'clock. We can't get a reservation. And that is not fair because I think people are making reservations online every day and then deciding whether or not they're going to use it. I know that happens.
I hear you. I know you're looking for me to respond in some way right now. The reality is it's a larger conversation. There's no simple thing that I can say that's going to solve it right here and right now for you. For that, I apologize. If I could, I would have done it already.
I thought at one point that there was going to be some record of people who make reservations and then cancel them at the last minute.
Yeah, I believe, yeah, they are tracking that. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Meyer and then Marilyn Stone.
So with regard to the LEDs in the apartments, I know I have LEDs in all of my lamps, but there are certain lights in the apartment that are Newbridge operational, and anytime they've gone out, they have come in and replaced them at no charge because they're Newbridge fixtures. So I don't know how all that plays together, but I know for my lamps that I brought, I did put LEDs in them.
I think the goal, Myra, would be anytime we can replace with an LED, we do. If it's a fixture that'll only take a halogen and doesn't have an LED replacement, I think that poses a different question. Then it comes down to the fixture itself. But, you know, the philosophy is anything that's better for the environment and better for Newbridge, we're going to do that.
So I guess the issue might be is developing a plan in the longer run to replace the Newbridge fixtures, with ones that are suitable for LEDs eventually.
Correct. And we're actually doing that as the apartments turn over, we're doing that right now.
Hey, thank you. Marilyn Stone.
I totally agree with what Judy Goldman said, and I have something to add on to that. Before Joel left, and he was just so busy, he didn't have time, he was looking into how to get the groups able to make reservations, and maybe at the beginning of the month, so we know that we have a place. They meet every month, and I have to beg the place to get into something. And it's really a problem.
Thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right. So Rona Goodman, then Carol Clangon and Raya. Rona, you there? You need, go ahead, you're on.
All right, well, I can talk without being seen. You know, I didn't have LED light bulbs. I live in a cottage. And then they came out with them that I could buy them at Home Depot for not a lot of money. And then the electrician from here came and put them into all the light bulb sockets in my cottage. And they're fantastic. They're so much better than the bulbs that were there before. But I had to buy them. And they were, you know, it didn't cost me that much money, but you have to go get them yourself.
Okay, thank you. Carol?
Did you get me?
Back to what Judy was talking about, I had another suggestion which has never gone anyplace, which was about the first part of her issue, that you don't know what's on the menu when you make a reservation a week in advance. The solution to that obviously would be to publish the second week's menu, even on a temporary basis. I know they're going to say, oh, no, we can't do that because then it'll change and people will get upset. But it seems to me that they have this rotating schedule and there's no reason why they can't put out a pretty close menu with the proviso that it could change, so that somebody who wants lamb chops can order them last Thursday, not yesterday.
Okay, Raya.
I have fixtures that are Newbridge fixtures. Can I ask for them to put in the LEDs?
Raya, they will do so, I imagine, but they'll charge you for the actual bulbs.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's if they have them on stock. They'll order it whenever there's a unique situation or a unique request.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Paul Chavinsky.
With Mass Save, if you call them, they will come to your apartment and replace all the bulbs with LED bulbs at no charge. In addition, they will check to see if there's anything else can be done to remedy any loss of electricity.
Thank you, Paul.
Mass
You're
Save
right.
is to be called. I'm sure they'd be very willing to come out and do the whole place.
That's who did the original lighting, was through a Mass Save program for large nonprofit organizations.
Okay, let me just see, there's something in the chat.
Dean Marchbind.
Oh, Dean Marchbind, go ahead.
So Matt, this is a totally unrelated question. I know that a number of people have moths in their units. And I've called an exterminator who declines to come in because apparently in Massachusetts, if you don't own your home, they need some sort of a sign off to do the intervention. And I've called 3 places and they've declined to come because it's apparently a problem. So I know that engineering will deal with mice and stuff like that. I'm wondering if they will also deal with moths.
Yes, they will. Our company Squared Away Pest Control will come on in and they will deal with moths. Please call down to Josie and One Stop Shop. They come in the building on Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays.
Thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
Anna Marcus. We lost Anna Marcus.
No, there's a great product that Amazon has, a little triangular thing you hang in your closet that scoops up baby moths by the dozen.
Thanks, Anna. That is a good as an indicator, but not for eradication. But thank you.
Okay, Terry Union. Unmute, Terry.
Okay, so sorry about that. So Dean knows I have the same situation. The exterminator has come here several times without success. The things you can buy to hang in your closet, the cedar balls and all that thing do nothing. But I don't know why they told you they couldn't come, because I've had Terminex come on a regular basis and they do a great job. And so I'd never heard of a law that says, nobody said to me that there's a law that if you don't own the property, they can't come, they just come. So I don't know who you called, but try Terminex if you're not.
Thanks, Terry. Yep, Terminex was my first call. Thanks.
All
They were
right.
the first to decline.
Weird.
Let's leave it to Matt to get his team to get this, to kind of touch base with all of you people. We can't solve it online.
Yeah, I just request again that you reach out to One Stop Shop. If it doesn't make it into building engines, it's very hard to keep track of. And I just remind everybody, when I walk down a hallway, you're not the only one giving me a work order. It's, 20 different. So I have to get back to my office, remember all of it, and then try to take it from there. So don't intentionally try to let me down.
Maybe you should create a form for people to fill out.
Well, I used to carry a notepad, but then everybody was seeking me out. It's a
right.
lose-lose.
I did drop a couple of people after querying them several times to identify themselves, but there are still some others. So when you come on the next week, make sure that your name is there, or ask Faye to help you. She'll put your name on your picture. We want to know that we know everybody who's involved in these affairs of ours. So I guess that winds it up. We'll see you next week, same time.
Bye,
Take care,
thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Bye,
Take care,
everybody.
all.
Have a good time, good day, good weekend.